Hello. Now that we saw how we could just pull information from the server to the client side, we're going to see now how the client can modify data locally and then sync back this data to the server side. So first thing to know that when we want to sync data and modify data on the client side, syncing can only be done if we are authenticated to a server. So to be authenticated to the server, I will need a login sequence. So the first thing I have to do is to create a login sequence. So here I will create a new sequence. I can call this sequence login. Here it is. And here's my login sequence. Now in my login sequence, I'm responsible for doing whatever has to be done to log on and to identify a user there. For this very simple case, we are not going to do this complex thing. The only thing we're going to do is to add a new step here. And this step is the step called Set Authenticated User. This will tell that now this context is authenticated for this user. So, of course, normally I should have to compute and to get and to check the user. Of course, here we're going to do it simple. I will do a set authenticated user with a user ID, and I will put this user ID hard-coded. Let's say test user. Okay, good. So now I need this sequence to be called from the client side. To do this, I will modify my local application, so mobile device application.html, and then we're going to modify here in the client side, so sorry, here we're going to add a new button here, and this button will be calling the transaction, the sequence data c80 dash call. And what should I call? I will call a sequence on the server side. So I will call my own project, fullsync startup, and then I will call the login transaction. Okay, so this is very simple, and I will make here type of login. Here it is. So now I'm able to log in on the client side. So let's see what happens if I bring my client side on the server here and I just do this. I will have a login button. Let me just call the login, and I will see that a wait sign came in. That is the proof that I did correctly log on the server. Okay, so this is a mandatory step to be able to sync back to the server. We cannot, of course, sync back data if we don't know who is the guy who is modifying the data. Now, every time I will modify the data, it will be modified under the test user user ID. Good. So one step down, we're going to see how we're going to modify on the client side to modify data here. So the first thing I would like to do is to modify a little bit my li here, and I will add a sample icon here. Let's say a type of gear icon. So I will just put here a data dash icon equals gear. So this is just to make a little fancy gear on the LIs. Good. And now I will just put a link for me to click on the item. So let's make a nice link this way. And of course, when I want to click the link, I will have to call something. So I will call data dash c80 dash call. But in this time, I will not call something on the server. I will call something locally on the fullsync. So I will call fullsync. Okay, so I will give the same name of my database. Okay, and I will just do a post, not anymore a query what's it. This main post is modify data in my local database here. Okay, so this is the post I'm doing here, and I will have to provide some variables to this post. So I will provide some data dash c80 dash variables. Okay, this is JSON syntax, so I have to put some JSON marks here. So that's what I'm doing here. Good. And now I have to put the variables I would like to put in my post. So I need to give the ID of the document I want to modify. Well, to the ID, the key for ID is _ID. This is something that is in the API of the fullsync repository. Now, what would be the ID? So in this case, it's very simple because the ID, we can use the templating to dynamically compute the ID I will need. So the ID should be a string, so that's what I put here. And I will template the underscore equals ID underscore. That means the ID I received in the document, the same as the description. So every document has an ID, a description. So I'm just getting out the ID here. Okay. Now this is the first parameter, is what document I should modify. The document where the ID is this. What should I modify in the document? Well, I'm going to create a new key, a new item in the document, and I will call this item archive, for example. Okay, this is just a key I just chose like this, and I will say that archive should be set to true. This is just a modification. I just created a new key in my document. Now I need something else. This means that when I have to modify something in a document, I have some different policies. One of the most used policies is the merge policy. Merge policy means that I'm taking the original document from the database and I will merge the new keys I just wrote here in the document. So I will merge the archive key here in the document. So I have to tell the fullsync engine to use this policy. So very simple. Use policy, and this policy should be merge. Okay, that's done. That's the way it should be done. And now I have my policy merge. So I modified my client, and my client now is able to modify data on the client side. Each time I will click on an item, I will add a new merge, a new archive attribute to my document, and this archive attribute will be merged in the document here. So let's test to see what's happening here. So I'm going to bring my client. Here it is. I will refresh, and I will make a query to see the new user interface, and I will see now that each of my little items has now a little gear. So if I click on the gear, it will bring me, you see, a little wait sign. This means that the document is now modified on the client side. In the next video, we are going to see how this document modified on the client side can be synced back to the server, and how we have to do on the server to just be able to retrieve these syncs and to be able to modify the backends. Thank you very much for attending. Goodbye.